Welcome back, welcome back. I'm your host, Chris Johnson, and this is another episode of Juswin. And today's co-host is my brother, Norris Cole. Happy to have you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Don't leave out that guy's a winner now.
Two-time champion.
Don't leave that part out.
I ain't gonna leave that out. But you know what, Norris? That was confrontation right there, right?
Absolutely.
And I know we talked a little bit off camera about positive confrontation.
Yes, sir.
Or disagreement. Like, how do you handle that?
Well, for me, I try to humble myself and understand that human beings are different. They come from different points of views, different walks of life. They have different opinions. And so I'm always open to hearing someone else's point of view. That don't mean I'm going to believe it. That don't mean I'm going to accept it. But I'm going to hear them and let them get their thought out.
Right.
You know, and so I believe that when I am going to go into a confrontation, I want to understand my opponent or the person who I'm conversing with. I want to understand them first before I maybe combat what they're saying. And so I listen to understand. I don't listen to just reply.
So you listen to understand.
Yes.
And for me, listening is a skill set.
Absolutely.
It's a skill set. And one of the things that I put on my vision board this year is to ask more questions, to be more curious,
Absolutely,
and to become a better listener. Now, when you look at listening as a skill set, you've been around some great coaches. You've been around some of the best players that have ever played this game of basketball. What have you learned from them?
I learned that most successful people, well, I don't even want to say most, all successful people have a thirst for knowledge. And they have a thirst to want to get better.
Right.
And part of getting better is taking in information. And what do you have to do to take in information? You have to listen.
You have to listen.
And then once you listen and you gain that knowledge and that wisdom, you quickly want to learn how to apply that. Because knowledge without application is nothing. It's just knowing something. But knowledge that's applied, that's called wisdom, and then that's called establishing habits.
Right.
And so all the great coaches, players, and the people who I've been blessed to come across in my life, they all listen, and then once they listen, they want to apply that and turn it into wisdom. Application.
I'm a continual learner. That's something that I've chose for my life. Is to continue to learn every day, all day, and to be open to concepts, different cultures, different religions of studying and learning. I'm open to all concepts and to be a student of life because there's so much to learn and little time to learn it.
It's a lot to learn. And when you are learning something that may be different from what you've originally learned, or you hear something that maybe sounds a little bit off or a little different, it's okay to listen to it and not make it a personal confrontation. Right. It's okay to have a confrontation. Right. Confrontation is okay. That's good. Healthy confrontation is great. That's how we move the needle forward in life. But toxic confrontation is where we gotta stop that. And part of that is people are too prideful. They hear something that's against what they believe and automatically they personally take an attack at that person. Right. So you say something that I don't agree with, and then I attack you. And it shouldn't be that way, especially if you're not saying it out of a spirit of like disrespect or anything like that. You know, we have to respect differences.
So through your life, we all face adversity.
Yes, sir.
Can you recall the first real adversity that you faced in your life? And kind of like walk us through it and then give us some tips of like what you learned that someone else can take and maybe avoid that situation.
Well, I'll give you one that happened to me as far as basketball. And so in 10th grade, sometimes I would play varsity, but I always played JV. I wasn't like strictly varsity yet. So the varsity team, they went on a trip out of town to an elite tournament, and the coach left me off that list to go. So I was left off the elite list of players to go in my high school. I told my dad. My dad was upset about it. And, you know, my uncles and them, they was upset about it because I should have went. I was one of the better players that should have went. But I was only a sophomore. I told my dad, I said, no, it's okay. I said, but this is going to be the last time I'm ever left off an elite group again. And that whole time when they was on that trip, I was in the gym working. And by the end of that sophomore season, you know, we went to the Final Four. We didn't win it, but I played very, very well in the Final Four. And then the next 2 years, we won back-to-back state championships. And my jersey is now retired at the school. I'm in the Hall of Fame and everything at the school. And so that adversity of someone not believing that I was good enough, rather than pout about it and have my dad go talk to the coach, no, it's okay.
Right.
My game gonna do the talking for me. And from there on, every elite team that ever came out of Dunbar, I was a part of it. I'm in the record books there, and I went on to college, you know, and I had that same attitude. I didn't start as a freshman.
Where did you get this mindset from to be, because, you know, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody's always going to be left off the list.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens, whether they're left off the list or they make the list, you still have to choose your response.
Absolutely.
You chose your response, and you took it into your hands.
Yes.
Like, were you born like that? Did it come from your parents? Like, where did it come from?
I believe part of it is my parents. You know, they believe in hard work. But we all have our gifts. You know, God blesses us each with our gift. My gift that makes me special is my will. You know, I'm not, 7 feet. You know, I'm not a big, bulky, muscular guy like that. But my willpower allows me to take what I have and maximize it. So if I'm not the tallest, I'm not the biggest, that don't mean I can't be in the most condition. That don't mean I can't be, the strongest pound for pound. You know, that don't mean I can't prepare for the test that I'm gonna have to take, whether it's actually in school or the athletic test as competition, basketball. I'm gonna be prepared as I can be. And part of that is the gift that God blessed me. So when I was left off the list, rather than pout and ask my dad to go talk to the coach, I was like, I can do something about it.
Absolutely.
Because that means the fact that there was even a question, that's on me. So what do I need to do? I need to make sure that there's no question. I need to dominate. I got to be in more shape. I got to make more jumpers. I have to make sure that, I'm making the plays that I'm supposed to. I have to dominate in practice so that the next time that a team is selected to go to an elite tournament, Norris Cole's name got to be on there.
It got to be on there.
And that's the mindset that I believe, obviously my parents, but I think, the Creator, man, he blessed me with willpower.
Right.
I have an unbelievable will to push through discomfort to get what I want to get.
You always find these different people, different young people. Mm-hmm. Some people are inspired.
Yes.
They inspired themselves. Mm-hmm. Like they refuse to it. It's their dream. They take it. Those are probably the most successful people.
That's how I am.
And then you have people that are really raw in talent area. They don't have a desire for it. Someone else is pushing them to have that desire, mm-hmm. which now creates this tug of war, and it's not the proper way to go about it. You got to find out what that person wants to do, and then help them grow in that area.
Absolutely. Part of being success is wanting success.
Right.
Very rarely does a person luck up on success. That very, very rarely happens. And some people who are naturally gifted at things, they don't want it because they already have it.
Right.
And so sometimes you have to let them know, like, hey, you have a gift.
You gotta work
this gift can help change your life and all that. And so you don't want to just let them negate their gift.
Right.
But at the same time, they have to want to get better at it.
When I look at transition, and I think this really applies to you, because you've had several transition parts in your life, and especially with your career. Mm-hmm. How do you navigate transition before your time expires?
Well, one, you have to keep it real with yourself and where you are and what position that you're in.
Right.
Having real self-talk is important.
It's super important.
You can't trick yourself. People who trick themselves are they're in a bad state when you're tricking yourself.
Very
so
bad.
You have to keep it real with yourself and where you are. You have to ask yourself, what is it that you're trying to do? Because some things don't just happen.
Right.
If you want a certain position, If you want to acquire certain things, it don't just happen overnight. So you have to have that foresight to see this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and then put a plan in place to say, all right, in order for me to get there, this is the things that I have to do. And that's what I do. Every time I'm in a transition phase, whether it's forced upon me or whether it's a transition that I would like to do, I always try to be forthcoming about it and keep it real. Like, all right, Norris, this is where you are now. No matter what you're trying to do, this is where you are. And then these are the steps to get where you want to be.
What are those steps?
The first step is finding out the skill that it's going to take to get where you want to be.
Okay.
And once you find those skills out and what it takes, you start working those skills to try to master it. You try to master it. So if you want to go into media, right, you have to learn how to be articulate. You want to be able to articulate your points.
Absolutely.
You have to have good body posture. You know, can't be too fidgety up there on the camera.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have relationships and know, you know, take either media training or have relationships to know which networks you want to work at, things of that nature. You know, if you want to go into coaching, one, you have to have people skills. So if you don't have people skills, you need to start putting yourself in position to interact with people and players. You have to learn management skills. And then obviously you have to watch the game to learn X's and O's. If you want to be a good player, a younger player transitioning to a veteran player, you don't run as fast, you don't jump as high. So what that means, you got to be at hot yoga at 6:30 in the morning. You got to, you got to stretch.
No, I'm serious because see, I was having a conversation this past weekend with Jermaine Jones. And he played for the Lakers. He had a pretty decent journeyman career, but we ran into his transition after the NBA. And this is where his life really changed for the worse. Because he didn't know how much stuff he was masking in basketball. Because in basketball, it took up so much of his time. It kept him it kept him busy. He was talking to me about his story. And it just stood out to me again that we need to create a transitional program for people to use throughout their life. It needs to be a formula, because when you go from from junior high school to high school, that's a transition.
Yes, sir.
In high school, you transition from freshman, sophomore to junior, senior. That's a transition within itself.
Absolutely.
From high school to college.
Major transition.
Because what if you leave your hometown? What if you go to another state? What if you're on the West Coast?
Small city to big city.
Small city to big city. And then your transition as to being a professional, whether it's in the sports, fine arts. Who's coaching you in that transition?
Once again, I'm going to say it again. What we talked about first, knowledge.
Knowledge.
You have to reach out.
Yeah.
You have to watch.
Yeah.
The thing we have nowadays, that thing called the internet, Google, Siri, Alexa, YouTube, you can find anything that you want to do and learn it.
You can.
And I'm talking about in your personal time.
Right.
I'm not even talking about the actual lectures in college or going to a trade or having a trainer like you, a life coach. I'm talking about the individual himself, me.
Applying himself.
Applying myself. If it's something that I want to do, I can Google it. How do I become a barber? You can YouTube that.
You can YouTube.
Before you go to barber college, you can YouTube that and learn, so that when you go to barber college, guess what? You're not learning from a blank space.
You've actually taken ownership in your learning.
Absolutely.
Which is very important.
Very intentional.
It's very intentional.
Very intentional.
And when you talk about that, intentional learning is something that motivated and inspired people do.
Absolutely.
Intentional learning. You could be learning from any type of subject matter. When you put yourself in it to really learn and understand it, that's the separation.
And that's when you ask me that question, when you're going through the transition phase, who's coaching you? You have to be real and coach yourself to some degree. And from coaching yourself, you know what you do? You find out what you lack. You find out what you're good at and what you lack. And if you're lacking something, that's when you reach out to trainers and coaches like you. But
you go into it knowing what you lack.
Absolutely. That's why you got to be real with yourself. You can't say, oh, I'm good at everything, I got it. No, it's okay not to have it, because when you don't have it and you address that and you go out and seek the knowledge, now you really do have it. A lot of people want to look like they have things.
Right.
But in reality, they don't.
They don't. That to me is the fear of failure.
That's
right.
It. That's the insecurity.
It's the insecurity. But insecurity comes from being exposed, being embarrassed,
lack of putting the time in.
Lack of putting the time in. And so what you do is you start to build up this fear. And when people say, hey, we're going to do it like this, I don't do it like that. Because you see that you're going to be uncomfortable and you don't want to fail. So that's my thing, is overcoming failures and obstacles gives you the strength to pursue and do anything. You can accomplish any goals if you have no fear.
Absolutely. No fear. Keep it real with yourself. And then reach out for the help that you need.
So.
And apply.
And apply.
And apply.
So for the people that don't know you and they don't know the work that you put in on and off the court.
Yes, sir.
Give us some pointers about when you're alone and it's you versus you, and you got to get up in the morning and you got to do it again. You won 2 championships, you got to keep doing it again.
Yes, sir.
Like, walk us through that journey, because you're always alone in that journey, even though you have support.
Right, but it's you that got to put the work in. It's you. I think, it's all about the rest that you got from the night before, making sure you get your rest. They say 8 hours of sleep, but, if you can get 5 to 8 hours of sleep, that's good. So making sure you have the proper rest in when you wake up. Be intentional about what you think about. So you wake up and, if you believe in doing your prayer,
right,
or meditation,
right,
you have to wake up and make sure your thoughts are centered on what you're going to do that day. And then come up with a game plan. Whether you write it down or you have the notes in your phone, have a list of things that you want to accomplish so that you can hold yourself accountable.
Right.
And that's what I've done over the years. I wake up, get my thoughts together, then I take action. So I wake up, do my stretching. After I meditate and pray, after I think, I get right to it. I do my push-ups, I do my stretching, I get my shots in.
So you have a routine?
Routine.
Daily routine?
Daily routine, since high school. And then when I got to college, it intensified because I learned more.
Right.
I learned how to work out.
So you applied it more?
Yes, absolutely. We travel a lot, we fly a lot. So guess what? I have routine in the airport. I'm into sports right now, and I'm learning to be an analyst and things of that nature. So I'm watching different sports, getting my education up,
right,
so that when I'm asked to speak about it on air, I know what I'm talking about. I'm doing my homework. I'm on Google. I'm into, reading right now, and nonfiction.
Right.
Educating myself on certain things and certain people, and what does that do? That allows to give me wisdom and knowledge when a younger player or a younger individual who has the same goals as me come and speak to me, I have already. You
got something to give to them.
I have something to be give to them.
So let me ask you this. We'll finish with win. Win to me is what is important now.
What's important now?
What's important to you right now, present day?
What's important to me right now is to maximize my physical ability playing the game of basketball, because I'm closer to the end than I am at the beginning.
About the transition.
Transition, and setting myself up after the game. That's what's important to me now. I'm in that phase of preparation, of getting myself together, so when I walk away from this game, I'm ready.
Yep.
And my family and everybody will be okay.
So you got a purposeful journey.
Yes, sir.
Because you're planning it out and you're watching it follow through.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing, bro. Listen, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel today and turn on your post notifications. Ring that bell right there. Drop comments below. And there ain't no better day than today. And we just winning. Just win.
That's all we do.
My brother, Norris Cole, happy to have you.
Appreciate you, OG.
We out.